everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to show you all the books that I have acquired since my last book haul, which I think was back in January, where I showed you all of my Christmas gifts. Now I do have quite a bit of books to get to, and some of them you might have seen already if you watch my weekly updates videos, because there I do show some of my weekly book mail. However, I have made sure to also keep some books hidden so that this video is interesting for everybody, even if you do watch my weekly updates. Now, if you're new to the channel, just a big heads up, all of these books are going to be fantasy books. And the first book that I have to show you is a gift. This was a gift from one of my subscribers, Johan, and I'm so thankful because this is an extremely thoughtful gift. And that is When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Niveau. So this is the second book in Niveau's series of novellas, and I read The Empress of Salt and Fortune earlier this year, and in my ongoing series video I mentioned that I really enjoyed that first one and I wanted to read the second one, but it was just a little bit too expensive for me, and then Johan went and bought it for me. So of course I'm so happy that I finally have it. I think that this is a beautiful book, beautiful cover, and I am going to read the second one very soon because the third one comes out later this year and I want to read it upon release. And yes, of course, very high hopes for this one. This is basically a 5-star prediction. Now, the next books are also books where I have read the first in the series. Absolutely love that first one, so of course I need to continue, and for that I need to buy the next books. And that is Kashils Chosen and of course Kashils Avatar by Jacqueline Carey. So these are the second and the third book in the Phaedra trilogy in the bigger Kashils Legacy series, which is a total of 3 trilogies if I'm not mistaken. So I read Kashils Dart earlier this year. Absolutely loved it. That's an all-time favorite book, and I do think that this will become an all-time favorite series if the second and the third book are as good as I think they will be. Now, like I said, this is the first trilogy, but I do want to continue with this entire series, and Susanna got me covered. So Susanna is another subscriber, and she actually is the one who got me to read Kashils Dart, because it wasn't really on my radar for this year, but she kept saying that I was going to absolutely love it, so eventually I did read it earlier than I was anticipating, and I absolutely adored it. So thank you again, Susanna, for getting me into this series. But then she was also so nice to gift me Kashils Mercy. So this is actually the third book in the second trilogy. So yes, I do have a lot of reading ahead of me in this world, but since I love the first book so much, I'm very excited for it. And I already have 3 books in this series. I will try to complete this entire series as soon as possible because I do like that all of these covers match. And I don't think that the mass market paperbacks will be difficult to find, but you never know. So I am going to try to complete this trilogy. So this is probably a series where you will see some books of this series in my next book hauls. But very happy again. Thank you, Johan, and thank you, Susanna, for the book mail. And now on to books that I've actually bought myself. And the first one is Sharp Ends by Joe Abercrombie. So if you don't know, I am making my way through the First Law universe. I'm reading 1 book per month together with Jose and Steve, and we do discuss each of those books in a spoiler-filled discussion. Now, currently we are reading the 3rd standalone, Red Country, and after that standalone you are supposed to read this collection of short stories. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of short stories, but usually that's because I don't think that there's enough time for world building and character development. However, like I said, this is a short story collection in the First Law universe, so of course world building. By the time that I read this book, I've already read 6 full-length novels in that world, and I also think that we follow characters that we've already met in the previous books. So I do think that this is a different type of short story collection than when you have a short story where you really don't know anything about the world or the characters. So I'm quite excited to pick this one up, especially because I do think that we follow West in one of these short stories, and I absolutely love West. So yes, quite excited to read this one next month. Then I have another continuation of a series, so we definitely have a sort of theme in this book haul, and I'm not mad because I definitely need to finish a series as soon as possible, or at least continue with them. And this is The Veiled Throne by Ken Liu. So this is the 3rd book in the Dandelion Dynasty series, and I read the second one, Wall of Storms, I think last month. Absolutely adored it. This is another series that has potential to become an all-time favorite. So of course, after reading the second one, I needed to acquire the 3rd one, especially because the 4th and final book comes out in a couple of months, and I want to have read this 3rd one by then, so that I can start the 4th one not upon day of release, because these are chunky books. I think that this one is almost 1,000 pages, so you can't really squeeze them into your monthly schedule, but I do want to get onto that 4th one quite quickly. And because the second one ended in a very interesting note, I do want to start this 3rd one, hopefully next month or the month after that. And then one that I actually don't know if I showed it in my last book haul, but I don't think so. This was a disappointment. I already read it, didn't really like it, and that is The Amber Crown by J.C. Bedford. So this was a new release, and I actually have a review for this one, which I will link in the cards up above if you're interested, but eventually I DNF'd it. This is a standalone. In this one we follow 3 characters, and we follow them after the murder of the king. We follow the bodyguard, who was actually supposed to, of course, protect the king, and of course he failed. We follow a witch in a traveling fellowship almost, and we follow the assassin who killed the king. So of course this sounded very interesting, but in the end I didn't like it. However, this is book haul, this is not a book review, so if you want to know why, watch the review, but yeah, I wouldn't really recommend this one, unfortunately. Then one that I have very high hopes for, this is a 5-star prediction, and that is Summers in Castle Auburn by Sharon Shin. So this is a standalone, and I have heard that if you like Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Merlier, you will like this book. Daughter of the Forest is my favorite book of all time. I've said this multiple times, so of course very high hopes for this one. We follow another, I think that it is a female main character, and she is the bastard of a lord. So of course that in itself I find very intriguing, because Fitz is my favorite character of all time in the realm of the Elderlings. He's also a bastard. So yes, very excited to read this and to see what it's all about. I have heard that it's quite emotional and that you will be heartbroken in a couple of instances in this book, but that's something that I quite enjoy. So I do hope that I can at least squeeze this into the schedule quite quickly. The next one is one that I will definitely be reading next month, because there is a read-along going on, and I think that it's over on Mike's Book Reviews Discord. So I wanted to read this for a long time. When I saw that there was going to be a read-along, it's an unofficial one, but on his Discord people arrange read-alongs all the time. I thought, why not? I love reading with other people, and this way I can discuss the book. And that is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So I have read Circe by Madeline Miller last year. I quite enjoyed the writing style. I liked the book as well, but it wasn't an all-time favorite. However, I heard from a couple of people that this one has romance, and that if you like romance in your books, you will probably like this one better than Circe. So of course, very excited. Another Greek myth retelling, or Greek legend retelling maybe, because I don't know if Achilles is actually... I think that Achilles is part of a legend and not of a myth. Not entirely sure. However, I love Greek myths, and I know that Madeline Miller has a beautiful writing style, so yes, very excited to read this one in May. Now recently I made a video about grimdark, what does grimdark mean to me, and as a preparation for that video I went through my shelves and I looked at all of the grimdark novels that I had read. And I came across quite a couple of authors that I want to read more of, and one of them is Michael R. Fletcher. So I decided to pick up Blackstone Heart by him, which is the first book in the Obsidian Path trilogy. Now I do think that the third one comes out either in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months, so this trilogy is almost concluded. And I do think that I will love it, because a lot of people that I trust absolutely adored this trilogy, said that it wasn't as dark as Beyond Redemption, so that's a good thing, because Beyond Redemption was really on my limits of what I can still enjoy. And I think that the premise sounds extremely interesting, because we are following a man whose heart has been cut into pieces and scattered across the world, and he's trying to find these pieces back. And I think that when he finds a piece, he also finds back a part of his memory, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, these are quite short books. I think that they are all below 400 pages, so I will try to finish the trilogy over the course of summer. Then next, a book that I'm so happy that I finally have a physical copy of, because I read this one as an ARC last year, and I adored it. I really liked it. It's the first one in duology, and the second one comes out later this year. I will also receive an ARC, and I'm so excited for that. And that is The Goddess of Nothing at All by Kat Rector. So this is a Norse myth retelling. In this one we follow Sigyn, who is one of the wives of Loki. And I think that if you like Circe and you also like Norse myths, that you do like this one, because this is just Circe, but then in Norse myth. Also, the naked hardback of this one is just beautiful. I think Kat Rector, or the publisher or the artist, did a really great job with this, and I do hope that the second one will be as beautiful as well. Next, I just have 3 new releases to show you, and the first one is actually one that I recently finished and I really enjoyed. That is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This is the first book in a duology, and this is definitely like a folklore retelling, but not set in our own world. In this one we follow a bard, and he has been summoned back to the island where he was originally from. He doesn't really know why, but when he goes to that island, he quickly realizes that girls from his clan have gone missing and they don't really know what happened there. But for some reason, the laird of his clan thinks that he can help. So there's a mystery, there's definitely some romance here as well. And even though it ended like a standalone, it didn't really end on a cliffhanger, it also ended open enough that I can definitely see why a sequel would have a story of its own. So I'm very excited for that sequel. I do hope we will get one soon, but at the same time, I can really appreciate that when you have a duology, you try to end each book like a standalone and don't let them end on a cliffhanger, so really liked this one. Next up, a book that I will be reading quite soon, because this was one of my most anticipated releases, and that is Scorpio by G.R. McAllister. This is the first book in the 5 Queendom series. No idea how long this series is going to be eventually, probably a trilogy, but who knows. I'm quite excited for this one because G.R. McAllister is an author of historical fiction. This is her first fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. But in this one we have quite a bit of political intrigue because in this world we have matriarchies. But then all of a sudden girls stop being born. So of course this has very high implications for politics, for economics, and I hope that this all will get explored in this book and in this series because that's something that I find very interesting. And then, last but not least, we have my next physical read, and that is The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. This is the first book in the Empire of the Wolf series. Again, don't know if this is going to be a trilogy or longer, but I have heard that if you like The Witcher, you will absolutely love this book. And I love The Witcher. I love the book series most of all, but I actually really like the TV show as well. I've never played the game, so I do hope that that's not the comparison that they're making. But I think that we are following somebody like a judge. And that's all I know. But the cover is quite cool and a Witcher comparison, so I am going to read it. And like I said, this will be my next physical read, so I do hope to share my thoughts quite soon. So those are all of the books that I have acquired in the last couple of months. Definitely let me know your latest purchase or book that you've got from the library in the comments down below. If you want to see more book mail and you haven't seen my last book haul in January, I will link that here so you can watch that next if you want to watch a lot of book hauls. I know that I sometimes just go on a book haul watching spree. As always, I do hope that you enjoyed this video and see you next time. Bye!